is how to get a listing ever an outdated subject? No, never. Is any market any different in what we need to do in order to close clients? No. I say I haven't had an original idea in 30 years. We are all products of those who came before us. It's how we learn. If anyone here has had a new idea, please let us know, because we are all looking for new ideas. So in case there's anyone in the room I haven't met yet, my name is Dean DeTonencourt. I am the broker here at HomeSmart Professionals, and we're just excited to have you all here. We have many of our HomeSmart family, some of whom haven't been in the building yet because COVID shut us down right after we opened. So welcome HomeSmart. Excited to have you here, and excited to have some co-broke colleagues here. As you know, we opened this up. We believe in sharing at HomeSmart, and we opened it up to our colleagues, and we're excited you're here. We even have fellow brokers in the room, and I'm excited for that. So thank you all for being here. We have incredible content for you today, and I know you're not here to listen to me. Some of you hear me way too often. It wasn't funny. I was kidding. Some of you are like, yeah, Dean, for sure. However, I won't hold up that process except to acknowledge our sponsors first. Let me see if they're in the room here somewhere. We're going to start with, down in the corner there, Mr. Jared Polseno from Main Street Home Loans. Also here, Mr. Doug McEwen from Chris Law. Doug, thank you so much for being here. Mr. Adam Delamonico is in the back of the house. Some of you are still feeling the effects of his party last night. And it goes, we cannot say enough about John LaPointe, who's not here yet, but you will see him later. And we're excited for all of you to sponsor. So thank you. Please know that events like this are not possible without the support of our sponsors. If you're not working with any of them yet, please give it a shot. We're in business with them because they do great business. So if you haven't met them, take a chance to do so. Ultimately, how many of you here are looking for more listings? Right. Okay. How many of you can ever have enough listings? How many of you remember the day when we had too many listings? Okay, right? There's a few hands in the room. I remember the day when I dreaded taking one more listing. Now, bear with me, those who are only a few years in the business, right? Those of us who recall, it's like, oh, like I need another listing. Now, we say that, we hear that today about buyers, right? Oh, you want a buyer referral? No. I'm good. I'm good. Okay. But there was a time when we had too many listings because we had to call our sellers every week, minimum, right? And we had to let them know exactly what's happening with their listing. And there was nothing to tell them ever. Remember what I said last week? Same. Nothing. No calls? Nope. Sorry. There were 13,000 single-family homes on the market in 1989. 13,000. Average days on market were 6 to 9 months. Imagine calling your seller every week for 6 months and saying, got nothing. Got nothing. Okay. Today we're fighting for listings. We're fighting to get people to want to move. We're fighting to help them find the reasons why they should and how they can and everything in between. But at the end of the day, we're here to create inventory, and we're all here to get our unfair share of every market. Agreed? Yes. Agreed? Yes. Awesome. Well, we're excited you're here. I would like to start with a quick introduction. A colleague of mine is going to share some industry insights. Mr. Chuck Lemaire, please come down. Mr. Chuck Lemaire is with Barb. Yes, give him a round of applause. Chuck is with Bob Parkin and Associates Coaching and Consulting, national coaching firm. He's also my personal business coach and accountability partner, and a very good friend of mine. And he's here to hold me accountable today. So I made him work.
You've done well.
Thank you. Yeah, not bad, huh? Excellent. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Very honored to be with you here today. And I'll share a couple of things with you to help you understand what I mean when I say I'm very honored and I'm really appreciative of sharing some time. Now, I want to get Brian up because I've known Brian for decades, not years, decades. And what he will share with you today will make a difference in your professional lives. And based on that difference, it will affect your personal lives because that's why we're here. What we do in our industry is help people grow personally and professionally. So I'm honored to be here with you. I won't share too deeply my story because Dean has asked me to do a few things. One, just give you a kind of an overview of what the national market is like, because you live in a particular location here, and we all know how provincial Rhode Island can be. One fact to me, I live in Barrington. So we had to have a visa in order to come across the bridge and be on this side of the state. So we stayed in the East Bay, right? Because Rhode Island is a provincial state. Right? And the national market, does it affect you here?
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually, because trends affect you. And what's happening nationally could affect you in the upcoming market. And as a professional, we need to be prepared for what's coming, right? Because what we're in right now, a little bit of a shitstorm. Yes? So I'm here to tell you a couple of things that will help you feel better, that will help you be more comfortable, because this is not a bad market. This is not a bad market. There will be no market crash. Now, I used to, in former positions, have the Boston Globe, Providence Journal call me and say, Chuck, what's the market going to do? What about the bubble? Because back in the day, we talked about the bubble. And certainly in 2006, we saw that bubble burst. And we were working in a marketplace that was vastly different than today. So what's today's national market like? There is no national market. So you guys hear a lot of stuff. You'll hear from the Wall Street Journal, from Warren Buffett. You'll hear from the Projo. You'll hear from all of your colleagues and friends on Instagram how difficult this marketplace is. And my role today is just to share with you a little bit of the current market nationally to help you understand and open your minds a bit, so that when you're listening to Brian, you can say, what does this mean to me? Because I'll tell you, the one problem with the national market is this: it distracts you. Distracts you. It worries you. And when you worry, you get debilitated. You freeze because you're scared. That's a normal human condition. That has not anything to do with real estate. That has to do with how you're wired. Now, I can share that because I've spent 35 years in this industry. And so I've seen different markets. However, if it was up to my Irish Catholic mother, I wouldn't be standing in front of me today. Because she wanted me to be, of course, a doctor, right? Now, I can't do all that reading. I don't know how somebody can go to school for 15 years and go into a, I don't get that. I really don't. So the second thing my mother wanted me to be is a priest. And some of you who know me personally know that that's certainly not anything that would have ever happened. However, as a young boy, I used to kneel at the altar at St. Gregory's of the Great Church, that some of you might know here in Warwick. So if it wasn't a doctor and if it wasn't a priest, my mother said, Chuck, you should be an undertaker. I'm like, Mom, really? Seriously? She goes, no, Charles, because she's the only person on this planet, and although my mother's no longer here, but she's still with me, she would say, Charles, because she was the only one to call me Charles. Charles, think about it. Do you ever see a funeral home director driving a Ford Pinto? Because back in my day, that was the car that, what the hell are you doing driving that piece of shit? Think about it. You'll always have business. You have a caring heart and you love people, and it's one of the most difficult times in their lives. And you look great in black. So I really had a hard time today because I put this on, right? But the good news is I used to wear a suit often. And good news about my life now is I can wear whatever the hell I want to. And because I used to show up suit and tie all the time. Because that's what we were taught in the day. Interestingly enough, even during my years here, working in New England, when I go to Maine and show up with a suit and a tie, a little bit different. So what's my point on that? You guys are realtors. You help people with one of the most important decisions in their lives. Because my mother certainly was proud that I had the career that I had. Even though it wasn't a doctor, or a priest, or a funeral home director. However, she was proud because she knew that in our lives, what job we choose, but most importantly, the partner we choose in life, and whether or not we have a family, are some of the more important decisions we make in our lives. And the fourth one is where we call home. And you guys participate in one of the most important decisions people make in their lives, where they call home. This is an honorable and admirable industry. And our ethics, our conduct, our respect is what's most important. The problem with the national marketplace, it erodes it. Because you see other people acting, talking, speaking in ways today that were totally unacceptable when I was 24 years old. All right? Notice how Dean politely says, "Oh, silence your phones, please." In my day and age, you'd be hit by a nun with a ruler on the knuckles.
I didn't say I wouldn't hit him.
Right. So the national market, hey, it's not 2006, right? During those years, we were printing money and giving it to people that, quite frankly, I wouldn't give $20 to. People who were buying their second or third home along with their second or third car, along with their second or third boat, and leveraging everything. Today, that's not the case. We have the greatest equity buildup in the United States that we have ever had. Why do you think you have all these cash offers? In my day, when I was 25 years old selling homes, a cash buyer? What, are you kidding me? That did not exist. And if it did, we were like, wow, where did they come from? Who are they? It's probably, with all due respect to, I'm politically incorrect sometimes, it was probably a Russian, that had rubles and converted it to USD. Who is this person? Because back in the day, there was an order and a respect that certainly isn't there today. So things have changed. So you have to pay attention to your culture. That's my story about the suit in Maine. And quite frankly, your culture changes dramatically from, even for me, I lived in Barrington, but I certainly didn't live down near the country club. I was on the other side of the tracks. We lived in the what's affectionately in Barrington called the Meadow Ghetto, right? So we were in there. And your culture changes from Narragansett to Woonsocket, from Westerly to Warwick. Your people change, and you need to adapt to that. So there is no one right way of doing business, except for the fact that your business has to be based on principles and values and the culture you create. And that's what I'm here just to share with you before Brian teaches you skills and abilities. If you can't communicate your culture and the reason why someone should list their home, none of his information will matter. Do you want to see an example of that? Oh, let's test this. I know I'm out of range for the camera, but who cares? Hi, I'm Chuck.
How you doing?
Matt, can you stand up?
Sure.
Matt, how long have you been in the business?
Almost 3 years.
Awesome, congratulations. Matt, in 90 seconds, tell me why I should list my home with you.
You were talking to the best realtor in the state.
Well, see, as a homeowner, I'm not sure if I want to work with the best because that means you're very busy and you can't pay attention to me.
Understandable.
So why should I list my home with you?
I value relationships over transactions every single time. And if you work with me, you'll get the best service in the state.
Awesome. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how well did Matt do? 10? No, I'll give you a 5.
There.
I'm not judging jury, but with respect. What are the three things that a seller cares about most? How much? What else? When? And what else? How much aggravation do I need to go through? Why do you think people are going to Open Door? Company strokes you a check for your house without you having to put it on the market. Why are they choosing Open Door versus you? Yes. I'm getting some money quick without any aggravation. See how important that is? So what is your competition? In today's day and age, it's automated technology and systems that are different than your ability to communicate your culture. Would you like a script reverse?
Sure.
Okay. So Matt, you're the homeowner. Matt, I'm so glad you asked me. You see, my mother wanted me to be an undertaker or a priest. And thankfully, I'm a realtor and I take pride in what I do. So here's the thing. We're going to establish a partnership together based on certain principles and values of transparency and honesty, kindness and care. I'm going to give you a report every single Friday, even if there's no offers and no showings. You can count on me because I know you care about three very basic things. How much do I get for my house? When do I get it? And at what aggravation? My role is to work as your partner to alleviate the aggravation, to market it in a way that we get the highest price with the best terms for you and your family. Now, there are 7,243 licensed real estate agents in the state of Rhode Island. Communicate to someone why you're the best. Don't just tell them you're the best. Because how do you measure that? Transactions? Ms. Jones, you the best real estate agent in the state of Rhode Island?
Yes, I am.
Why? Because I told you so. Rachel said to me Rachel's one of my clients. Rachel said to me, the other day, this, that, and the other. I'm like, Rachel, you're the best real estate agent in the state. And I said it about 12 times. Why? Because, yes, absolutely. She goes, I'm brainwashed. And that's what open-mindedness is, because aren't you the best real estate agent, regardless of whether you're doing 200 transactions a year or 2? I was at one point in time the CEO of HomeSmart. Now, I came out of 15 years at Remax. I was proud of wore my Remax sweater well. Loved those years, really did. I was a regional director here in New England, so my responsibility was to lead people like are in the state. David and Lenny Amicelli, Richard Zompa, Carolyn Petrecchia, and the rest of the 5 states of New England. And I wore my Remax sweater well because when I left Remax of New England, we had 4,000 agents that did 63,000 transactions and $16 billion in volume. That's an average of 24 transactions per agent. Now, when I got to HomeSmart and joined with Matt Widows, he had about 6,000 agents, 3,000 of them didn't do a single transaction. I had to be a little bit open-minded. Now, Joanne Hayes was a person that lived in Phoenix, Arizona. She was an old friend of mine. She owned the Barrington or East Providence Remax franchise with her husband, Howard. And Howard suddenly and tragically died of cancer, too young. And Joanne just couldn't say. There's just too many memories. And she couldn't say here. So she moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and she was the administrator for her son's law firm. And the first thing she did when I came is join HomeSmart. She was licensed in Arizona. Joanne never sold a house. So do you judge yourself based on transactions or volume? Because Joanne never sold a house in Arizona, but she was an excellent realtor. Excellent. So how are you evaluating yourself? You want to know really what the market's like? Watch this. Can you guys all stand for a second? If you received, based on how many hours do we have to take in Rhode Island to get our license? 40? 45? So after you did your 45 hours of education, Compare that to 8 years. That's why I want to be a doctor. I could do 45 hours for God's sake. Piece of cake, right? So if you did your 45 hours and you were licensed in the last 5 years, please sit down. That's about 50% of you. If you received your license in the last 10 years, so that is 2022, right? So that's 2002. So if you received your license, oh, thank you. See, this is again why I wasn't,
You're a CPA.
yeah, absolutely. And I went to Bentley University in Waltham as an accountant because I got good grades at Tollgate, whatever. So if you received your license in the last 10 years, please sit down. All right, now the people that you see standing are there people that are a little bit older,
Be
a
careful.
little bit wiser, and a little bit more understanding of what the market is like. Because these are the people, oh no, wait, 2012? Why don't we go back a bit? If you received your license after 2005, please sit down. These are the people that understood what it was like to deal with bank-owned properties, REO, and 06 to 12. And you think the shit hit the fan these last couple of months? Wow. Now, thankfully, I was not here for that because in 2006, RE/MAX asked myself, my wife, and my family, would you like to go to Europe and be the CEO of RE/MAX Europe? And so we lived in Vienna, Austria with our 2 boys, my nephew, and our 90-pound golden doodle. And I didn't suffer through the shit that you guys have suffered through. So congratulations. These are why these people have, like I do, a little bit more white hair. Right? So they have, and this is only, look at it. You're looking at the 5% of this room, and that's what you're dealing with when you listen to Instagram and people who go, let me tell you about the market. The people who are telling you that on Instagram, they don't know shit. These people know their shit. Thank you. I could have gone back 20 years and probably 1 or 2 of those remaining 5 or 6 people would still be standing like I was licensed in 1986. Right? And Dean, when were you licensed?
89.
So Dean and I know what it's like to sell houses when the interest rate is 14 or 15%. So 7? Oh, what is it, 6? Give me a break. Piece of cake. So why is it a piece of cake? Because guys, I'm going to tell you, Brian's going to tell you what to do. I'm going to share with you next and then close out and hand it over to Brian, but I'm going to tell you what not to do. Because I think that's a little bit easier for us to understand. Because when people tell us what to do, we have to be open-minded. And if you're not, you're just going to be listening to different people all the time. Now, while I was at RE/MAX, I had the privilege of working with some great people. Frank Polzler was one of them. He was licensed back in the 70s. He was from Mississauga, Canada, because this particular region was owned by Frank Polzler and Walter Schneider. They also owned RE/MAX Indiana, RE/MAX North Central, which is Minnesota, Wisconsin, and all of Europe. That's how I got to go to Europe and be the CEO there. And Frank Polzler, old guy, still kicking it. He's still in Boca Raton. He's 90 years old. Great man, good heart. But if he was here, he would say to you, the market, national, local, the market's the 6 inches between your ears. That's where the market is. Yes, because it's what you think it is. Because no matter we're dealing with 14% interest rates or bank-owned property and short sales, or we're dealing with multiple offers and appraisal gaps and everything else, it's how we think about it. Because quite frankly, the seller is just looking for your professional advice, counsel, and resourcefulness. That's what they're counting on for you. So my question to you is, how do you feel about the market? And that's what leads me to say, if you're listening to Instagram or anyone else, stop it. It's a distraction. Because right now we could get a phone and put it on this desk and start dialing people and say, do you have any interest in buying, selling, or investing in real estate in the next little while? When I was trained by Floyd Wickman, who was out of Chicago, we would get to the office at 9 o'clock and start making phone calls until we had 3 listing appointments. How many of you have picked up the phone and called somebody you don't know today? 6. Guess what? The rest of you have not been working today. Hope you've enjoyed your day off. Because if you are not structured and if you're not devoting 1 or 2 hours per day to speak to people you don't know, and don't give me this bullshit about, oh no, phone calls, Chuck, no, not today. People want to be texted. No, people want to be served. Because it does not matter whether or not my mother was right. Yeah, I probably could have been a doctor, but what is being a physician? It's serving the needs of a human being. What's the purpose of being in any particular faith as either a pastor, a priest, a monsignor, a rabbi, whatever the case may be? What is their purpose? To serve other human beings. And what is the role of an undertaker? To serve the needs of the people who are left living, because they've just had one of the greatest tragedies in their lives and their hearts are broken. The good news for you is you get to serve the needs of homeowners who, yes, are anxious, insulting, crazy, because they're listening to all this shit. That's why you can't, because you need to come in with confidence and focus to be able to clearly communicate what your culture is and the principles and values do you set them on and the specific skills that you have as a real estate agent. Want to hear my 90-second listing presentation when I was 25 years old in Westwood, Mass? I would say I was up against, like, experienced women. I worked in an office with 34 women. It was the best. That's why I got into this industry. Trust me, it's true. 34 women in that office. Sheila Pappas was the best agent, God rest her soul. She had lived in Westwood for eons. Now, I had to not only compete against Sheila, she was in my same office. We were going after the same people. Why? Because it doesn't matter whether or not you're one of how many people at HomeSmart or RE/MAX or Century 21 or Residential Properties or any company, all of you collectively, 7,200 licensed real estate agents are after the one person on Diamond Hill Road who wants to sell their house today. All of you. So the question is, how do you reach that person and clearly communicate your value proposition in order to engage them in the process of listing their home? So here was the way I competed against people who knew everybody in town, from the country club, from the church, from the neighborhoods, from the past clients. Think of the past clients that you have. So I would go into a seller and I would say, Mr. Seller, here's what we're going to do. I'm 25 years old. I just graduated from an esteemed institution just up the street in Waltham, Massachusetts, called Bentley University. I have been trained in so many different proficiencies that I was taught because I have a marketing degree that there are 4 Ps. Anyone hear about the 4 Ps? Oh, God. Thank God you're here. The 4 Ps of marketing, Mr. Seller. See, first of all, I'm going to tell you what the other 7,200 people do. Here's their 4 Ps. I knew somebody. Their 4 Ps is they're going to put it in MLS. They're going to put a sign up in the front yard. They're going to place an ad, and they're going to sit around and pray that their phone rings, and somebody's like, hey, I want to buy a house. I'm a cash buyer from Russia. Here's my 4 Ps, Mr. Seller: prospecting, promotion, pricing, and packaging. Pizza. Bring them a pizza on the day that they close. Hey, this is a tough day, right? It's all in the little things, right? It's all in the tchotchkes. So those were my 4 Ps. Who has a pricing strategy that they'd like to describe to the class? Oh, okay. Albert raises his hand, and I know he can do it. Why? Because Albert used to coach with me, but not anymore, but he really should. But that's another story for another time.
He's always
Right. Here's it. Yes. Right. Always be closing. How many people have seen Glengarry Glen Ross? Oh, yes, absolutely. Best training film ever. You know, Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon, Alec Baldwin. You'll love it. Lots of swearing. So my pricing strategy was, Mr. Seller, do we price below market, at market, or above market? And they'd go, what? So I would dazzle them with thought process to have an open mind, because the other agent was relying upon their reputation. And if you're relying upon your reputation with either your family members or your friends, because that's about all you do, you are not a real estate agent. You're not running a business. You're just putting yourself in a transaction to be able to receive some commission to help your family members. So what is the reason why, we've got 5 minutes, what is the reason why most real estate agents fail?
Because they're not honest.
Yeah, honest agents, yes. No, Marilyn, and I, we're in the parking lot. Where's your colleague that you were speaking to? So, I'm sorry, I'm Chuck. What's your name? Okay, you're a realtor, always introduce yourself. All right, my name is, do you have a card?
I do.
Okay, is it electronic? We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So Lori's pulling into the parking lot and we're talking, and there was no more parking spaces. And I said to Lori, what? Park in the handicap spot. And what was your answer?
No.
No. Ethics. Ethics. Yes, dishonest real estate agents fail, but quite frankly, that's not number one. But of course, you know, if that happens, if you're doing illegal stuff, you're gonna fail. But legitimately, for all of us, what's the number one reason why most real estate agents fail?
I think
Accountability.
we don't treat it like a business. We go in.
Yeah, it's number three.
Yeah.
Number three is you don't treat this as a business. You don't schedule your time for calls. You don't have a system. You can't describe the pricing strategies and packaging and how you're going to promote the listing. So you're not competent. Do you have to be competent to be a doctor? You're damn well right. Right? You have to know your shit. If I have to go in and get my spleen removed, you better know where it is. And how many of you would go into Kent County Memorial Hospital and have a doctor take your spleen out that's done it once or twice this year? With all due respect to those of you who've done 1 or 2 transactions. Hey, let's do this very quickly because this is about competence and skill. So we're in a listing presentation, right? This is a house, it's on Diamondville Road, not Cumberland. Cohesive. It's up the street, just off Center. Who works Warwick? Okay, so you guys should be able to tell me this. Let's see who can get the answer faster. There's a 1,400 square foot ranch. It has 3 bedrooms. I know it has a bath and a half. I know the garage has been finished into a family room, but I don't think they pulled a permit. You know, there's a little screen-in porch in the back. How much is it worth?
299.
I'm sorry?
Diamond Hill Road, does that have a basement?
No basement. It has a crawl space.
299.
$299.
329.
329. 329. 329. Do I hear 429? 429. 369. 300. So if I was the owner of that house, yes. How did I get that? I got that in 5 seconds with Zillow. Is Zillow good? Okay, erase that from your memory. Please, you're listening to the bullshit from all the other 7,200 agents. Zillow is awesome. I'll tell you why. You want that seller has already done this. When you say no, you're not open-minded to say that I need to be able to show that seller what the real value is. Enter into a partnership. That's a pricing strategy. They've already done this. Do not say no. Okay? My time's up, so I'm going to leave you with this. Thanks. So was that Chuck hold the mic, or was that Chuck, your time's up, you need to move on? All right, we'll do both. We'll do both, because have I shared enough with you? Okay, I've shared some. Brian's going to share a lot, but at 3:30 or so, both Brian, Dean, and I will answer any question you have. So recognize you will have the opportunity to ask personal questions. I just wanted to simply open your mind. Because I find that in our industry, we don't take care of ourselves. We listen to things that cause us to have a mindset that isn't healthy. Your market's between your ears. Educate yourself. Think to yourself right now, when was the last time I took a class? Because we want that physician to be taking continued classes to operate on our spleen. We should be doing the same. How many of you have a coach? Awesome, 4. Does Tiger Woods have a coach? Yes. Has he had several coaches? Does Tom Brady have a coach? Does Tom Brady have a physical fitness coach, a quarterback coach, a head coach? Guys, really? Do I have a coach? Yes. Yeah, she's in Banff, really pretty area. And she's awesome. And I can't wait to talk to her every Wednesday. Work on your craft. You're a professional. You are a realtor. Recognize that people are placing their #1 asset in your hands. Take it seriously, please. And recognize the fact that you should have pride in what you do, not just because it's the most expensive asset they have, but it's their home and they need you. And you need to deal with their anxiety and their nervousness because they're challenged, because they're being told this is a bad market. No, you are the saviors. You are the person that will swoop in and serve all their needs, because that's who you are. So as we listen to Brian, recognize a couple things. He's going to give you very specific skill sets, because it's all in the words you choose and the tone that you use, the speed of which your speech happens. Have I sped up my speech? Have I slowed my speech down at different times? Used different tones? How many ahs or buts or, uhs have I uttered in 20 minutes? None. Why? Something I'm special. Well, my dad was director of special services here for the city of Warwick for 30 years. And every once in a while, my dad would go, "Yeah, I think you're a little special." Not in a good way. I was the black sheep of the family, but we'll talk about that, afterwards, after the event, because we can hang around and have conversations. And I'd love to do that. But for now, I'm going to hand it over to a woman who you might have had call you directly to say, "Hey, why don't you come?" Because she cares. Because this is a person that not only is a professional realtor and has had great success in her business, but she's an amazing soul, a good human being, a great mother, partner. And I have the pleasure of introducing Kim Cheeks.
Wow, I didn't expect that. Thanks, Chuck. Good afternoon, everybody. It's so nice to see all your faces. I feel so privileged to be standing up here in front of all of you. I know many of you, some personally, some professionally, and a lot of you that I get to work with on a regular basis every day. Thank you so much for coming. And again, I want to thank our affiliates for being here and sponsoring this event for us. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. Some of them will be back at 4 or 3:30. So thank you again for everything. I have the honor. Microphone, sorry. I too thought I was loud enough. Apparently I'm not. By the way, Albert, you completely threw me off today. You were sitting next to Rachel. I thought you were like some new agent that I didn't know, coming from some other company. I'm like, who's this guy in the corner with the goatee and the mustache?
I've been dressing up lately, so I figured.
Nice job, nice
Then I
job.
saw Brian with both, I was like, I can't come here slacker.
Again, I have the honor and the privilege, to introduce our keynote speaker today. His accolades are such that I needed this piece of paper so that I wouldn't forget any of them. Brian Moses has sold more than 3,500 homes in his career. He has been ranked in the top 10 for a major real estate franchise for more than 140,000 agents, 7 consecutive years. Now, I did call a lot of you, and you probably heard this in your voicemail, so I apologize for repeating myself, but I didn't get everything in that voicemail. He's twice ranking at number 2 in the world. During his career, Brian sold more than 400 homes annually, producing sales volume in excess of 100 million and making over 3 million per year in commission income. In his best month, Brian recorded more than 60 sales and generated over 400,000 in commission and income. Yes, I said that correctly, in a single month. Today, Brian is a sought-after speaker, moderator, panelist, and industry expert throughout the US, Canada, and Europe, delivering his message with agents and industry professionals to help accelerate their income and productivity and gaining financial mastery. Everyone, please welcome Brian Moses.
All right, so can I tell you what today is not about? Today is not about geographic farming. Today is not about promoting yourself. Who's been told you gotta have a farm? Who's been told you gotta have a brand? You gotta promote the brand. I'm here to tell you that doesn't matter. Neither of those two things matter. The public doesn't really care. Chuck hit the nail on the head. People listen to one radio station, WIFM. What's in it for me? So if you can increase the choir, if you can give people the messaging that they are waiting for, that they're salivating for, it'll be like shooting fish in a barrel. So we're not here to spend thousands of dollars on promoting our brand in the hopes that things work. I coach some of the best agents in North America today. Agents that are doing way more production than I ever dreamed of doing. You know, we have tools today that we didn't have back in my day. I mean, we used to talk to people with a string and two cans. I sold real estate when dinosaurs roamed the earth. So it's not about promoting. And then just this year, I was named one of the 125 most influential people in the real estate industry by Success Magazine. So I'm really excited to share my story. This isn't about me. I just want you to know that I care. And sometimes people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I will make a difference in your life. I've done a lot of things right over the years, obviously, but I've done a lot of things wrong. Who's okay if you leave here a little bit more motivated, inspired than you arrived? Are you all okay with that? How many of you are okay if you leave here with some psychology to work that 6 inches between your ears? Right? Mental gymnastics out of the top. We're listening to all the noise telling us why we better button down the hatches. I've done a lot of things wrong. I'm going to poke fun at our industry. Are you guys okay with that? If it hits home, don't take it personally. There isn't anything that I'm going to poke fun at that I didn't do. I did a lot of stupid things in my career. Testing, trying, experimenting. We have tradition and disease in our business. Do you know that? There's still agents today doing things that agents did in the 1960s. Promoting themselves, branding themselves, cutesy, catchy little slogans. So I raised millions of dollars. Money I didn't have, hundreds of thousands of dollars in money I didn't have. Experimented. Just listed, just sold postcards. Who's done these? Anyone decide? Tell me why I should call you when I get one from this person and I get one from this person. There's no shortage of real estate agents, but there is a shortage of plumbers. There is a shortage of electricians. You try to get a handyman or a carpenter to fix your deck, good luck to you. But you whisper in the supermarket that you're thinking about selling your home and you got there's 10 realtors within 30 feet. True or false? So today, gang, what I hope to accomplish, not what I will accomplish, is I'll plant some seeds and show you a better way, an easier way, a way where you don't have to answer your phone. Isn't that a different way of thinking? You call the client back when you want to call them back. But how many of you have ever been out to dinner with your significant other and the phone goes off and you go, oh, excuse me, honey, you got to take this call. And you're gone and you come back and the entree's already been served. Yeah. Or you're at your kid's soccer game or a football game or gymnastics and you're like, excuse me, honey, I'll watch that magical moment, that goal another day. Folks, real estate doesn't have to be done the way that it's been done. And I'm going to contend to you that it's a lot easier to sell more homes when you get people calling you and chasing you. And you don't have to worry about where your next deal is coming from. Who's excited you came here today? I'm going to show you some strategies, but we got to get the mindset right. Because I'm going to show you some things that are, if I just don't get your mindset right, you're going to go, this guy's on crack. This shit would never work in Rhode Island. But it works in every market in North America because sellers want the same thing in Warwick, Rhode Island, Miami, Florida, Dallas, Texas. How about this one? Promoting themselves. So I brought some examples. Hopefully none of you will pop up on here today. So happily, call Carrie. How about this one?
Yeah, why is he only appealing to the male side of the equation? When the women making decisions.
This was me. This was when I first met Chuck. And I went to a seminar and he said, you need to promote yourself. So I promoted myself. Here's the bad news. I spent hundreds of dollars that I didn't have, new agent, just getting into the business. Sent out 10,000 postcards. This is the bad news. I got a listing. That's bad news. Well, Brian, isn't that what you wanted to have happen? Yeah, but now I'm brainwashed thinking that to get another listing, guess what I gotta do? And there's no leverage, there's no predictability in self-promotion. I got lucky. Anybody ever get lucky? Write this down. A blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. So here's what we're going to learn today. We're going to learn that doing more of what everybody else does will only give you stagnant growth. Who wants this type of growth? Hockey stick growth. It goes to the moon. Who wants the growth that you went from 40 transactions, dead growth, which was me in 1995. Now, 40 transactions, that's pretty impressive, especially in the 90s. $300,000 in income, but the problem, I spent $500,000 savings. How long can you do that? Can anyone relate? Spending more money than you're making, don't know where your next deal's coming from. So we're going to learn direct response today. But I've been probably in worse places than you have been. These are bounce checks in 1995. I couldn't pay my pager. Who's been in business long enough? $22 for my monthly pager. The bounce check fee was $25. It cost more than the actual pager. My minimum credit card payment, my car payment, couldn't pay my bills. I borrowed money from agents at my office, from friends. I wrote them post-dated checks. I promised I'll work hard, I'll sell real estate, but I'm in a world of hurt. So I had some really good friends. Look at, he loaned me $1,000, but I had to give him $1,150 1 month later. That's a good friend, right? That's called robbery. Called taking advantage, but I was so desperate. Then one day, I come to my little apartment. I had a 1-bedroom apartment and I got a letter from our uncle. The same uncle. His name's Sam.
I love how they spell your name, Green.
Yeah. I know what's in here. Hey, Brian, we haven't heard from you in a number of years. 1990, 91, 92, 93, 94. Where you been? This is not funny, man. No, it is funny now. It wasn't funny back then. So where you been? You owe us taxes. And I threw them in the trash and the letters came more frequently, with more intensity. I kept throwing them in the trash thinking, they got bigger fish to fry. They're certainly not going to bother me. Well, I was mistaken. Chuck knows this. My brother owner, Rick Stout, Remax Properties. His brother Hank They sent my broker, my place of employment, where I was employed as an independent contractor. They sent them a levy on my commissions. Hank sends me a note and says, Brian, we got to take all your commissions that are pending and send them to the IRS and pay them back. They're telling us over $50,000 in back taxes. Is that right? I go, I think they're underestimated. I'll take that. I'm in a world of hurt, gang. So they came in, there's 30,000. I just hit deposited $18,000 into my bank, First New Hampshire Bank. I wrote all those checks out to my friends that I borrowed money from. First New Hampshire Bank calls me and says, hey, you better get down here and make a deposit. I go, I just deposited $18,000. Tough guy, right? Like, this has got to be a mistake. I said, let me check. The IRS took the money right out of my account. Wow. Now all my checks are going to bounce. We have those challenges to start. This is going to be a cakewalk for you. I had a 1984 Ford LTD station wagon. It had been in an accident, so if I was lucky enough to get a listening equipment, I'd have to drive by the person's house and park the good side of the car. To make a good impression. But I took that Ford LTD station wagon and I went up the coast to Maine. And I'm trying to get my head around this going, what am I going to do? How am I going to face my mom and dad? They spent their life savings to send me to college. And I reward them with a career in real estate. Like Chuck did. 4-year college degree, bachelor's at Northeastern, good school. Offered job offers right out of college, $100,000 a year. Nope, I'm going to sell real estate and be rich. But those 5 years, from 1989 to 1994, were horrible. So I find myself in Maine, and I'm like, the lottery. The jackpot was $2.3 million. I go, that would really help. Problem is, I don't have any money in my pocket. So I looked under the seats of my car and I managed to scrounge up 8 quarters. Loose change that had fallen under the car, buy this ticket. Guess what happened? You lost. I did not win. I wish I would. So today I'm glad I didn't win. Because I had to figure it out. What I'm going to give you today is what I figured out. And sometimes, who's familiar with Tony Robbins? So he's my next mentor, late night infomercial. What is Unleash the Power program? And his psychology changed my life. He gave me a path that got me thinking differently than everybody else who was in the industry. You might want to write this one down. If you do what everybody else does, you'll get what everybody else gets. Who doesn't want what everybody else gets? I mean, I want the 5% of what the top 5% in the industry gets. I want the 1%. I don't want what everybody else gets. So doesn't it make common sense that you got to do something very different, radically different? And I love one of the posters in the hallway. It says something about breaking the rules. I didn't read the whole poster, but that got my attention. I like that. I don't break the rules, but I know what the rules are so that I can play by the rules and have a strategic advantage. And I'm going to show you that. So your mind is going to have to be open today, or this will just fall on deaf ears. But if you're open to it, it'll change your life. I went from 40 transactions dead broke in 1995 to 108 with no assistant in 1 year. I went from negative $200,000 to $600,000 positive in 1 year. Who would like to know those strategies? Not just what I did, but how I thought, how I looked and viewed at things differently. I got married. Never looked back. Every year, despite market recessions, dips, every year business went up. Here's what I'll tell you about the market. I don't care what the interest rates are. I don't care what the absorption rates are. I know every single month in this country, in every market, there are thousands of sales. How many do you need? We can focus on the glass that's half empty, interest rates are high, properties are sitting, they're getting stale. Or you can go, there's hundreds of properties selling in my backyard. What do you think would be better to focus on? Don't listen to the noise. So very important, I'll go through this as quickly as I can. This is very important and very powerful. Your beliefs determine your thoughts. Your thoughts determine your actions or inactions. And your actions determine your results. If you don't like the results, you can trace it back up the ladder. Who knows that we have limiting beliefs? We all have limiting beliefs. Who knows that we have some beliefs that serve us? We need to be conscious of what we believe. Be aware of what's holding you back. There's one word that I can't stand more than anything on the planet. Yes. Shadows can't. That awful C word. I hate that word. It should be. We should petition to have it freaking removed from Webster's dictionary. I hate that word. I'm going to share a story with you that really will set this whole session in motion. It was, I believe anything is possible. Who believes that? Do you know that immigrants that move to our country are 4 times more likely to become millionaires than our own citizens? Wow. They believe. You've seen it happen. How many people don't become millionaires? They don't focus on that. They focus on what's possible, not what's impossible. Does that make sense? So I was very blessed to have a dad who loved me, raised me. As his own, he was my stepdad. He was World War II vet, third grade, Omaha Beach. Liberation of Buchenwald. I'm very, very grateful to our veterans. A day goes by in my life where I don't wake up and thank the Lord that we live in this country with so much opportunity. But we've been conditioned as Americans, we've been spoiled to bitch, to complain, to find the shit in everything. Let's just start looking for the good in things. So I hate this word. And my dad told me that, hey, you can do anything you set your mind to do in life. I believe in you. And sometimes when someone else believes in you a little bit more than you believe in yourself, great things are possible. So because he believed in me, I believed in myself. So anyway, I'm doing good in real estate now. I'm kicking ass. I'm getting married. I'm building a new house. Not just a house, like a pisser house. A really, really nice house with a 24-seat movie cinema, a 5-car garage, 6 acres. And I'm looking into the future. I'm like, I got this figured out. I'm so glad I didn't take that $100,000 job. Life is good. So I'm going to New York City with a buddy of mine. His name's Scott. And we got tickets to the Red Sox Yankees. We're going to Smith and Walensky's for dinner. We're going to see David Letterman. And Tony Robbins taught me that things can always be better. And what you focus on, you find. Seek and you shall find. What you focus on expands. So Tony shared with me a great question that I ask all the time. I built this muscle and I ask it all the time. How can I make this better? Say it out loud with me. How can I make this better? I did that today. How can I make this event better than the last event that I did? I'm going to knock your socks off. This is going to be the greatest event I've ever done in my whole life. But anyway, I'm driving to New York and I say that question to Scott and I go, Scott, how can we make this better? He goes, Moses, we can't. What did you say? He goes, we're going to the Red Sox, we're going to dinner. Shut up, don't. Jesus. I go, dude, it can always be better. I said, what if? He goes, how? I go, what if we got on the Letterman show? Shut up. You can't do that. What did you say? I was pissed. I didn't talk to him for the rest of the ride. I don't like that word. Let me show you what happened. Oh, no.
We were talking to a young man from New Hampshire, the southwestern part of the state of New Hampshire, before the show. And the kid, for reasons unbeknownst to me exactly, wanted to sit on the stage. Are you still out there, Larry? Is that your name, Larry? Larry? Brian, do you mind if I call you Larry? A wagering man? Yeah, it's a little gaming blood in your body? All right, if you go outside on the 53rd Street right now and kick us a field goal, I'll let you sit on the stage. What do you say? $35 yards, what do you think? He'll never hit a 35-yarder, will he? You never know. No, he'll never hit a 35-yarder. Is he going to do it now? I would say we'll start right like around the 20 yards. Give him a chance. You know, the kid drove all the way down from New Hampshire. Cool. 20 yards. Is he ready to kick, or are we going to do this first? Then okay, we'll do the top. There he is. Let Larry take a couple of warm-ups. All right? Stand here while he's warming up. All right. There it is. 20-yarder. All right, Larry, anytime you're ready. Anton, here we go. If he hits this, he gets to sit on the stage. Ah, Larry. Slow motion Instagram. We got it on replay. Let's take a look. Let's check it. There it is. It's up. Okay. 30 yards. 30 yards. That was funny. 30 yards. You can host the damn show. Think about it. Think about it. We'll be right back here with Friday Night Chris Boss is here. Lance Alstott, the kid who kicked the field goal. And minutes ago, Brian Moses, is that it, Brian? From New Hampshire. What city in New Hampshire?
Southwestern portion.
Exactly. Sitting on those stairs for the rest of the show by drilling this unbelievable, dramatic, overtime, last minute. Look at this, man. This is a rocket, isn't it? Ball? You play ball in school? I'm sorry? I said you play ball in school? You have a football background? I did. Yeah, well, it certainly paid off tonight. It never kicked. It ain't exactly $1 million, but you feel like $1 million, don't you?
I was really nervous.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. He's expecting a call from the president. Well, Brian, Hillary and I just saw you hit that field goal. The program, she's in a brand new mode with that camera. Get a nice side shot on it. There you go. Just turn into it. Turn into that thing. Oh, yeah. James Bond. James Bond. Yeah. Let's see how you do it. James Bond, James Bond. Your little audition. Okay, here we go.
James Bond. James Bond. Thank you. I was seen by the back many times. So let him in and pulled out the red carpet for me.
Wow.
The best part of that was being on the stage and my buddies going. Here's why. Who can tell me why I shared that with you? It was fun, it was light, but there's a reason I shared that with you. I heard somebody in this section go,
Believe.
I don't use the word can't. So I know it's possible. I believe anything's possible. Yes, sir. I heard somebody right in here, Brendan, you were here. He's fucking crazy.
I said that.
He's crazy.
She was like,
He's crazy. You need to be a little bit crazy.
yes.
You need to believe. When I was going up to Maine, how many of you knowing me now for 20 minutes know that I believed I would figure this out?
Oh, yes.
Like there's no other option. There's no other option. And that muscle, that award, that reward, that reward for that belief has grown inside me like it's unstoppable. I can do anything I want to do. Anywhere, anytime. Friends challenge me all the time. Oh, you're crazy. Let's go do this. I'm like, well, A, I have to want to do that. It has to be important to me. But I'll give you some examples. Oops, I don't know. Hopefully we can. So I want to tell you another story about my belief. So life is going good. This young lady in the front row said, do you have kids? So I'll tell you about the Harvard doctor. 2-3 years now, making $1 million a year, living in my beautiful home with my wife. We have a conversation about, hey, what do you say we have a family? And the guys in the room know the best part about trying to have a family is the trying part. So we're trying and trying and trying, nothing's happening. So my wife's getting antsy, her biological clock's ticking. She goes, maybe we should go get checked out. Checked out? What are you saying? There's something wrong with me? So I'm not saying that, but let's go get checked out. So we go get checked out, and this Harvard doctor, I'm looking at his diploma on the wall. Harvard's a very good school, right?
Yeah.
World renowned. So I'm like, we're in good hands. He comes in and goes, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Moses. Looking at your lab results, you're infertile, and so is your wife. So you guys can't have kids. I said, excuse me? What you say? And I want you guys to do that. When you hear that word, I want you to get that intense. And my wife's like, he means well. I'll kill you. He says, I'm sorry, you can't have kids. It's right here, black and white. I go, you can shove that black and white up here. My wife's pulling me off. I go, what about fertility? What else can we do? How many believe there are other strategies, other things? He says, well, you might want to consider adoption. I'm like, we're out of here. We call it Fertility Center, the Fertility Center of New England, not far from here. And we go down, Dr. Vito Cardoni, I'll never forget him. He goes, fertility will increase your chances, Mr. and Mrs. Moses, like 0.0009%. That's like an Olympic decimal, right? The difference between first and second in the Olympics, such a small margin. I go, oh, let's do it. He goes, well, wait a minute, it's $14,000 a cycle. It's not covered by insurance. It's totally voluntary. I go, we're fine. Let's sign this up. We do one, nothing. We do another one, nothing. We do a third one, nothing. I go, Janet, maybe the doctor was right. How many of us have ever had that happen? Failure, and we give up. Janet goes, well, let's try one more time and we'll see what happens. I go, you got $14,000? She goes, we're doing fine. Let's do it. So we did it. I'm at the Pheasantry Mall. Anybody ever been there? Yeah. We're walking through the food court. My pager goes off. I think it's an important client. I look at it, I don't recognize the number. I go to the payphone. Who's used payphones? Hello, it's Brian Moses returning a call. What's your date of birth and last 4 of your social security number? It's the fertility center. Congratulations, Mr. Owens, you're gonna be a dad. Oh, can't even tell you. That's awesome. Orange, we're buying baby books, we're looking at nurseries. Life is unbelievable. I can't wait to call that Harvard doctor. I share this with you because I wonder who you've listened to in life. They told you you can't be rich. You can't be financially abundant. You don't have an education. Who do you listen to? You become a product of your environment. Well, you're now in my environment. And I'm going to tell you, you can do anything you set your mind to. Dream big, shoot for the stars. So we're getting ready for this baby. And about 10 weeks into the pregnancy, my wife wakes up screaming. We lost the baby. But I go, honey, I'm so sorry that we went through that, but the doctor said we can't get pregnant, and we got pregnant. Can you try again? Well, let me fast forward. We tried a 5th time, a 6th time, 7th. We get up to 11 times. 10 times, forgive me. 3 miscarriages. I'm thinking maybe it's not meant to be. My father passes away. September 7th, 2001, 4 days before 9/11. I'm on my way to a Tony Robbins event with my wife, Janet. We meet Tony's personal assistant, Lauren Slocum. And she goes, oh my God, I heard you guys were pregnant. How old is the baby? Janet goes, we lost it 3 times. Janet starts crying. Lauren goes, well, listen, honey. And she pokes my wife on the chest. And with a lot of masculinity, this woman says, don't you ever freaking give up on your dreams. Do you understand me, girl? Because we had given up. We were done. And my wife walks away and goes, who's that bitch? That's Lauren's assistant. She knows something we don't know about vibrations and all this stuff. So we're flying home. And Janet says, I'm sorry you lost your dad. Do you think he'll put in a good word for us? Can we try one more time? So we tried one more time. We got pregnant. My dad put in a good word for us. Miracles happen. We had a baby boy. His name's Hayden Ryan Moses. 7 pounds. Cute little brother. What if I listened to the Harvard doctor? The story gets better.
What a beautiful couple. I'm very sweet.
Hayden and his mom are me. That's in Hawaii. I think he's 5 or 6. We went with Ricky D. South, Chuck and I were a thing. Then we adopted a little boy from China. Figured we'll make a difference in their life. We were told you can't adopt boys from China. We adopted a boy from China because we don't listen to kids. Girls are in abundance. But we adopted that little guy. Isn't he cute?
Yeah.
So I share this with you because what you believe, you're capable of. Oh, funny story. So he's learning English. He comes over to the States. And I give him $5 every time I'd say, hey, Peyton, tell Chuck where you're from. And tell Julie where you're from. He would say, made in China. And folks, I'm the most blessed human being on the planet because every day I'm looking for what I'm grateful for. So Peyton's growing up now. He's about 10 years old. He's in martial arts. He's a black belt in karate, taekwondo. He's playing football. And he says, Dad, I'd like to be a world champion. And I said, hey, anything's possible. Well, people are telling me I'm too small. I'm not strong enough. And they're pointing out all my limitations. I go, hey, you listen to me. I mean, you can do anything that you want to do in your life if you're willing to pay the price. And if you're willing to pay the price, Dad will invest in you. He'll invest coaching, invest training, invest psychology, He'll be in your corner. We'll travel the country. We'll make the best time of it. But as soon as you take your foot off the gas pedal, Dad is not paying all this money. He goes, deal. It was not a one-time world champion, a two-time world champion. Wow. Because you know what about kids? They believe they can. They believe they can do anything. They're standing on a balcony looking over a 4-story building, and they're like, oh, true or false, right? They don't have any fear.
No fear.
Maybe it's time for us to release the balloons of fear. What do you got to lose? Stop worrying about what people think. Most don't. So he's a third-degree black belt. He's at the best, top of the world. Watch that kid sacrifice. Now he's in high school and he says, "I want to play football." Like, I played football, but I really want to play football. I want to play football in college. Now, for those of you who know anything about the quarterback position, 5'6" in high school is not really an ideal. And the doctors are saying, you might get another inch out of him, maybe 2. Guess what his dad's telling him? You can do it. You want to play for Alabama? You want to win Heisman? It's like, yeah, that would be nice. Because when you shoot for the stars and you land on the moon, a lot of people have never been on the moon. So I've always taught my kids to shoot for the stars. I shot to be the #1 agent in the world for Paul Baker. Big company. Twice I was #2. How many of you would be okay with that? I failed, right? So it's really how you look at it. So he starts football training freshman year, not even looked at, not even on the varsity squad. But his junior year, he had worked hard. Hard work always pays off game. He's the hometown hero on ABC News. He's the captain of his football team. I can't tell you how proud I am of this kid. He's being recruited by the best universities in the country. Dartmouth. Brown, right here in Rhode Island, he was offered a preferred walk-on his junior year to Brown University. Can you believe that shit? He's 5'8" at this time. Holy smokes. Problem is you can't get into, I said can't, right? It's difficult to get into Brown. Not easy to get into Brown. I don't know who gets into Brown, but he didn't. He didn't get into Dartmouth either. Or Harvard or Yale, but they liked him, they recruited him, and they said, if you can get in, you can play. But those schools are so hard. You know, who remembers a couple of years ago, $500,000 check doesn't get into those schools? He's the quarterback champion at Harvard. His senior year, he's ready to light it up and get a full scholarship offer, hopefully, at one of these schools. And the week before his first game, in a scrimmage, he tore his left ACL. Season-ending injury. Colleges stopped calling him, stopped talking to him, stopped responding to him, withdrew his offers.
There's always real estate.
So he went to prep school up in Maine to rehab. He didn't give up on his dreams. He graduated valedictorian #1 in his class at Bridgeton Academy. He got a D3 offer at Grinnell. Coach started another quarterback over him. He didn't get angry. He didn't get pissed. I couldn't tell if he was. It didn't show. He supported his teammates, worked hard, played in 9 out of 10 games, started by the end of the year. And then in February, he said, well, I'll finish that story in a minute. So he played last year at starter at Grinnell College. Pretty cool for a 5'8" quarterback, don't you think?
Yes.
We traveled out every weekend, tailgated, had a blast. It all comes back to this. I'm here to tell you, you can do anything you set your mind to. Just like a little kid, but sometimes you gotta be reminded of it. Now, how else has this served me? I am crazy. I walked a horse onto the track at the Kentucky Derby because I asked the question, how can I make this experience even better? Can we get into Billionaires Row? Mike Reese, my good friend, says you can't get in there. what did you say? So I did that. We went to a concert to see Darius Rucker. People are like, hey, can you get us backstage? I go, it's possible, but I don't even really care to get backstage. We check our RV in and they park us next to Darius Rucker. They go, you must be with the band. Out backstage. I've been to the All-Star game in the locker room with the American League champions. I took my son to an Auburn, Alabama game. We meet Bo Jackson. We get on the field the night before the biggest college game in the country. He meets the quarterback, Jared Stidham from Auburn. Look at the difference in size. And he goes, I can do this. Of course you can. And in my head, I've got limiting beliefs. I'm like, my wife goes, you went to college football? I go, yes, because Doug Flutie did it. Doug Flutie's an exception. I don't even say he's an exception. But it's possible, right? So that's a better belief to have. We go to the Super Bowl. We get into the post-game Super Bowl party. He meets Ali Raceman, Julian Edelman. Why? Because his dad's freaking crazy and says, how can we make this better? We go to the national championship 3 years ago, LSU versus Clemson. Joe Burrow, Heisman Trophy winner, national champion. Hayden's with him at the after hours party smoking a cigar. I believe you can do anything you set your mind to. So here's what I want you to take away, and we'll get into some content here quickly. There are two worlds you can live in, and it's your choice. Please write down two worlds. World number one is the reported world. This is the world that Chuck talked about. Interest rates are high. Inventory is getting stale. And we listen to the noise. That's the reported world. Most people live in it. Over here, I'd like to welcome you to my world. It's the created world. It's the world where you visualize an ideal life. You get associated with it and you go out and make it happen. And you have no freaking idea how to do it. Bob Proctor, great friend and mentor of mine. He said, Brian, how does it matter? How does not matter. There's a million hows, a million ways to get listings, a million ways to increase your average sales price, a million ways to never hear a commission objection again. Don't worry about the how, decide. Please take that away here today. What one decision are you going to make in your life that you're going to go after it and get it? And if it doesn't happen in a month or a year, you don't give up on it. Because that's your decision, that's your life. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of things I pursued in my life that I have not yet experienced or achieved yet, but it's who you become in that process. It's the growth. You're either growing or you're dying. So go after it. Let the rest of the world come bitch and complain about what's going on in the market. So let me fast forward. So Hayden finishes Brown last year. He sets 2 NCAA single game records for a passing quarterback. Can you freaking believe that? And he gets a little pissed at me because there was one time the coach told him, this is the game plan, Hayden. And Hayden told me the game plan. Hey, Dad, if we get into the red zone, they put me in. They get into the red zone, they don't put him in. I'm like, pissed. Very crazy dad. But things happen for a reason. Well, Hayden in February decided he would apply to some elite schools again. He applied to 14 schools, all the Ivies, Northwestern, Duke, Vanderbilt, and Stanford. The rejection letters came in one after the other. Sorry. I get a phone call on Wednesday afternoon. He goes, did you see your text yet? I said, no. Let's check your text right now. That was the screenshot that was in my text. I'm like, holy shit. Are you not going to play football? Vanderbilt's a great academic school. He goes, oh no, I'm going to play football. Vanderbilt, who knows where Vanderbilt's in the SEC, pardon my language. Southeast Conference, they play Alabama, they play Georgia, they play Ole Miss, they play Tennessee. I'm like, holy shit, you're 5'8". Do you think he has a career? No. They recruit 4 and 5-star athletes from this school. Kids that are freaks of nature that have been playing since they were 4. 6'6". The offensive line, they're 6'8" and weigh 380 pounds. How many think it would be a cool story if I told you that he was playing football at Vanderbilt? Hayden's playing football at Vanderbilt. And when Dean and Chuck asked me to do this, I said, how can I make this better? So ladies and gentlemen, please look in the back of the room. Let me introduce you to my son. Yeah, I like it.
Hey, you look like him.
Now, who's going to bet against this kid? I wouldn't bet against him. Okay? It was an incredible experience. It was a proud moment. But if you didn't try, if you listened to all the noise, we could do a whole seminar on how many people told them what percentage of kids go on to play college football after high school. And then when you take the percentages of what kids go on to play college football after they grit their knee, it's 0.000 something percent. So thank you for letting me share that story. And there's meaning behind it. I can tell by the tears in some of your eyes that it's hitting home. So go after your dreams. Get out of the comfort zone. Life doesn't live in a lagoon where it's safe. The sharks and the fish and the reefs, there are no coral reefs in a lagoon. The reefs and the sharks and the fish and the whales, they live out in the rough seas. Real estate can be rough at times, can't it? I'm going to show you how to navigate it and navigate it with more precision. Okay, so the last piece of the psychology. So you all got it? Anything's possible. You can do it. You can do anything you said you want to. Shark and I and Dean, we all believe in you. We're created. We were created by the same universe. So if one person can do it, why not you? Now, there's 2 things that you're going to have to develop to do what I'm going to ask you to do when we get into the tactical stuff. You're going to, are you okay, honey?
Yeah.
Awesome. Happy tears? Skill and motivation. You need skill and you need motivation. Would everybody agree?
Yes.
Okay, this is going to be worth $1 million to you. You know you're going to get $1 million. Or you're going to get $1 million. Which is more important if you have to get the edge to one over the other? How many of you think motivation is more important? Hands up nice and high. Look around the room. How many of you think skills are more important? Yes. How many of you will raise your hands no matter what I say? Nobody wrong. Okay, so I'm going to tell you that skill trumps motivation. In every instance, was Brian Moses motivated when he graduated college? Was Brian Moses motivated to not have to ask his family for money, not have to beg? Yeah. Was he motivated? Folks, I used to cold call from 7 to 1, 300 outbound dials a day. Every day. Has anybody in the room done 300 dials a day? A year straight without missing a day? I have. Wow. I worked harder. I wanted it. But the thing is, if you're over here drilling for oil in New Hampshire, drill, nothing. But you go to Texas, and I tell you, drill right here, and there's a gusher. It's not about working harder. It's about knowing the drill, the skill. Let me give you some examples. Let's pretend, Dean, that there's a bomb in this room. We are locked in, barricaded. We can't get out. We got 8 minutes. What's your first name, ma'am? Allison. Allison, do we pull the red wire? Do we pull the yellow wire, the blue wire, or the green wire? And if you pull the wrong wire, Allison, everybody dies. Are you motivated to pull the right wire?
Motivated to pray.
Right. It'd be helpful to have the skill though, right? How many of you said that? How about this? Anybody ever want to go skydiving with somebody who's never done it before? I asked the guy on my back, I go, hey, how many times have you done this? He goes, never. Dude, if I die, if you die, I die. We're all good. How many of you are not getting out of that plane? How about the stock market? I lost $50,000 in one day because I didn't know what a stop loss was. I know, yeah, so basic, right? So basic. Had I known what a stop loss was, my stock went all the way to zero. If I put a stop loss in based on my risk tolerance, I wouldn't have lost that. I wasn't motivated to lose 50,000. Your car breaks down. You're motivated to get to point B. Flying a plane. Chuck flew in from Orlando yesterday. Imagine Chuck, the captain says, hey, welcome to American Airlines Flight 1732. Just want to let you know I'm Captain Brian, and this is my first day on the job. Skill and motivation again. Hey, is Hayden playing football in the SEC because he's motivated? He worked on what he could work. He's definitely motivated. How many of you think he's got some skills? Do you think he knows how to throw a football? Yeah. Do you think he understands the defense and coverages? Do you think he's got some skills? No.
I'm gonna get almost Letterman.
Letterman's retired.
Yeah, I
So after doing this for 30 years, some things work, some things don't, some things work way better than others. But skill trumps motivation. Is that where's your attendance today? Because we're thinking motivation is enough. And in some of the dialogues and role plays that I listen to, we rely on motivation. We rely on personnel. You're setting yourself up to get your ass kicked. Lead generation is a skill. How many of you lead conversion is a skill? How many of you could screw up a perfectly good lead if I paid you $1 million to screw it up? If I paid you $1 million to get somebody to hang up, how many think you could do that? Well, the opposite is also true. I could pay you $1 million to get an appointment, but that requires skill, not luck, not hope, not personality. So I discovered it the hard way. You get the cheat. Let's dive into direct response marketing. I like to call it differentiation. This is what the public sees, my friends. Each one of those white walls represents a real estate agent. Right? They're everywhere. In fact, I think there's more real estate agents in Rhode Island than there are white walls. They're everywhere. And all companies, Keller Williams, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Compass, HomeSmart. I'm thinking about selling my house. I know 3 agents. Take a survey, do some market research, ask your friends and family, how many real estate agents can you name off the top of your head? 50% will name 3. Another third will name 2. And then the rest will name 1. You'd be hard pressed to find someone who goes, I don't know any real estate agents. True or false? True. So on a scale of 0 to 10, how important is it that we differentiate ourselves? It's not enough to just let them know that you're in a business, right? When we brand and self-promote and go, what? And I did all the crazy stuff. I mean, I went out to a cornfield with a photographer to take my picture, and I go, and the caption is, list your home with Brian. He's outstanding in this field. I did some stupid stuff, but then I learned messaging. It's not about branding and self-promotion. What is it about? It's about messaging. I'm going to tell you a quick story. You won't appreciate this, but it's true story. So a couple of years ago, my landscapers can't get over to the residence to clean up our yard, and I'm OCD. I can't take it anymore. I love my home. I love my property. I've worked hard for it, and I like to look at it in its beauty. So the leaves are all over the ground in a fall foliage day. And I tell the boys, hey, Saturday, 10 o'clock, we're gonna go rake the yard, the three of us. We'll get some fresh air, we'll get some exercise, we're gonna rake the yard. You can imagine they're gonna do this. They roll their eyes, they're like, okay. Saturday, Janet feeds us breakfast, we go out to the garage. There's no rakes. And did you take the rakes? No, Dad. Swear to God, I don't know where they are. Hey, did you take the rakes? I know that I have 3 rakes in here. We look everywhere, there's no rakes. Did you take the rakes in? No. I'll take you to his grave, I swear to God. Yes, like I'm really angry. They're smart little kids, right? So I go, Janet, I'm going to Lowe's and I'm buying 3 rakes and the boys are coming in. She goes, oh my God, look what just came in the mail, Home Depot. She goes, they're having a sale on rakes. I go, great, I'll go to Home Depot. What's the lesson in that? I know of another realtor, but I saw a message that got me to go to Home Depot. Does everybody follow? This is important because this will lay the foundation for everything I'm going to show you, and it'll be like shooting fish in a barrel. We don't have any loyalty to anyone but ourselves. I just happen to know Lowe's has rakes. So we go to Home Depot. I'm going to now. Is it now? Can I borrow you? So I go into Home Depot. I see the guy with the orange apron. I got my kids in so on. I go, sir, can you help me? Would you like to buy 3 of these rakes? $9.99. He goes, no, you don't. No, you don't want those rakes. Those rakes are garbage. They break. We got a back lot full of broken rakes. Everybody returns them. He goes, come with me, young man. And he takes me and he shows me these $75 rakes. I laugh. You can never get out of Home Depot without spending $200. And sure enough, $225 later, we got 3 rakes. We go back. Kids are hungry. We never rake the yard. But what's instructed in that lesson? Marketing. Got the prospect. If I can show you how to get sellers to call you, regardless of why they called you, as long as it's moral, legal, and ethical, is everybody in this room okay with that?
Yes.
Is anybody not okay with that? How many of you want to talk to more people who are wanting to sell their home?
Yeah.
That's the secret sauce. I went from making 300 calls a day to never making another outbound call. I don't call my sphere of influence. I don't chase. I don't prospect. I don't hunt. All 400 transactions a year call us. Would you guys like to generate that much business? Do you know what the best part of that is? You can pick and choose who you want to work with. But you know what happens when you're desperate, when you can't pick and choose, when you got bills to pay? I'm looking for a rental. I gotta go work on Saturday. I gotta show rentals. Or I gotta go work on this part of town, and now I'm showing commercial property. And I'm not a skilled person in commercial, or I'm showing new construction. So it's not about branding and self-promotion. It's about messaging. I have lots of messaging that I'm going to share with you. There are 3 simple steps. You're going to want to jot these down. Just like Home Depot and Lowe's, Royal Caribbean, AMC movie cinemas. Look at other businesses. Hey, do you know those billion-dollar corporations have marketing directors? They have PhDs from great schools to understand how to generate quality leads. This is a skill. And most of us have never been taught how to do that. You're going to be here today armed. It's really simple. So we're going to get the seller to call us and say, can you tell me more? Is everybody okay with that? Mm-hmm. Can you tell me more? I'm thinking about selling my house. I was going to go with Lowe's. I was going to go with Keller Williams, but I'm not really, what they're really saying is I'm not really loyal to them. I saw your message. Tell me how that works. Then we're going to learn what to say to get the appointment. because we know we can screw that up. That too is a skill, right? And then we're going to acquire the client, and I'm going to tell you that in 99% of the cases, I get the listing and they don't do what they called on in the first place. They don't buy the $9 rakes, they go with a different product. They don't go with one offer, they end up, like, I'll give you a quick example. Selling your home without listing it is a lead generator. That's one of the messages you'll see in a moment. Sell your Warwick home without listing it for sale. No signs, no open houses, quick, easy, and convenient. Call Marilyn today. Hi, Marilyn. I saw your ad on Facebook. I was about to go list my house with Keller Williams or Remax or Century 21, but can you tell me how that works? How many of you are glad you're talking to that person? Is anybody not happy they're talking to that person? So give yourself a hand because you get this. It took me 5 years to get it through my head. I used to think it was bait and switch. It's not bait and switch. It's bait. And we're going to leave here today with a menu of different offerings that are unique, different, compelling. They give you an unfair advantage over your competition. Who's excited? Dean and Chuck brought me here to share this with you. Give them a hand, please. So here's what we're not going to do.
I should
Crazy, right? It's crazy. Let's have a humble moment. I'll go first. Who has ever done this crap? Anybody else? Who else has ever done this crap? To be noticed. But now you're just one of 4. And you 3, now you're the 4. So, will you raise your right hand, please? And say, I swear I'll never do this shit again. All right? Just listen. If everybody else is doing it, out. Just so, out. 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 Who's ever gotten business on this? I told you I'm going to poke fun. Like, if you have a sign writer that says, I heart my realtor, I have those too. Just take them down immediately. And let's put a message on them. Like, home sold to the highest bidder. Isn't that what happens anyway? If someone calls and goes, how's that work? Works really great. When would you like to see the house? See, I use marketing to get people to call me. So marketing attracts, we want to get people's attention with something crazy. The craziest, boldest, most ridiculous promise offer you can make and not be a two-faced lie. Could I sell someone's house without listing it? Yes. If I had a buyer. If the sun, the earth, the moon, and the stars all came into alignment, I could do that. But most of the time it doesn't. I just want them to call me, and then I get an appointment, and then I use my skill to acquire the client. Okay, so we don't want to be like this. We want to be like this. We want to stand out, but it's not even we. We want our messages to stand out. And I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in becoming the highly proficient expert in marketing. It's a skill. You don't learn it in one day, 1 week, 1 month. It's an ongoing process. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm way better today than I was when I was selling 400 homes a year. So you're getting me at my best. And then you stand out as the only choice. When you're the only choice, guess what? Never becomes an issue. Commissions. I had a coaching call at 9 o'clock this morning, and the topic was they're interviewing 4 agents, and they want to know if I'll do it for 4.5 apples, 4.5%. So we spent an hour walking her through that. She's going to walk out of there, and she's going to demonstrate professionalism and expertise, and the consequences of going with someone who's not a pro. So we got to get a shot. We got to get our foot in the door. So here, in terms of creating messaging, step number 1 is who do you want? You want sellers. You want buyers. Maybe you don't want buyers. Maybe you want buyers in a certain market. Are we near the ocean? Yeah, our homes on the ocean. I know. I know. I'm in New Hampshire. We have ocean there too. Homes on the ocean more expensive? Do people buying oceanfront homes have good credit? Have good income? Good down payments? Who would like some of those buyers? I hear people go, I don't want any more buyers. What are you, stupid? You want the right buyers. I'm all for raising your standard. I work with high-priced buyers. Who do you want? Where do you want them to be? What neighborhoods do you want to get listings in? This is very important because we're going to create messaging that speaks to that audience. And the more specific you are, the better. We don't want to be all things to all people. Marketing is like fishing. It would be a good idea before we get in the boat to go fishing to know what type of fish we're fishing for. But realtors just go, are you thinking about buying or selling a home? Call me. What kind of fish are you fishing for? A buyer, a seller, what area? Somebody who lives on a golf course, somebody who owns a swimming pool. The more specific you are, the person seeing that I was looking for a rate. My wife gave me a brochure. There was a rate on the brochure. Ding, 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 ding. Does everybody get that? You need to have message to market match. We need bait. And if the fish doesn't like the purple lure, we have a green one, we have a yellow one. Is this making sense? It's really easy. It's very easy. And contrary to my mentors, I really think I've done a pretty good job of simplifying it. It took me a long time to understand this. But all of your messaging needs to have these 4 criteria. It's got to be compelling. It should be irresistible. It should be unique, and it should be different. Meaning, sell your Warwick home without listing it for sale. Let's say that I see that I'm a seller in Warwick. And I go, hey, Susie at XYZ Real Estate. I saw this guy, Chuck Lanier, he's got this ad on Facebook, sell without listing. Can you do that for me? What do you think your competition's going to say? No, you have to list the house. Oh, okay. All right, well, you thinking about selling? We'll call you back. And then that seller calls Chuck Lanier. You guys get this? That's an unfair advantage. Now, am I saying you're going to get them all? Probably not initially. But if you got 10 of those inquiries, how many of you think you'd get some of them? 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10? And then you develop your skills with training and consistency, and you'll get all 10. I can't remember the last time I lost a listing. I definitely have. But it's rare. So direct response marketing, you want to see some examples? Sure. Yes. I can easily switch to cold calling, door knocking. All right, I'm being a little fresh. Okay, so we want to create the right message. It's all about the messaging. This is not the right message in the market that you just came out with. How many of you have seen that messaging? Hold on. Now listen. We're in a market where sellers are not stupid. They knew in the last 2 years that if they list their house, they got 50 showings for 2 weekends. They don't need a guarantee, so that messaging is falling on deaf ears. Now you might get hard, but it doesn't work like it did when I was selling. When I was selling and use this message, it works great. Because the average days on market was 9 months. And if a seller had to be in Texas to start his job, that's a good message. So we want to make sure that our message is timely for the market conditions that we're in, right? Let me give you one that I'm just working on right now. What are interest rates today? 7?
Yes, just went up today.
6, 7? Okay. If you targeted jumbo buyers looking on the ocean, so thinking of purchasing an oceanfront home, needing a jumbo loan, how would you like to get rates in the low 5s? Now we have to put all the APR and you play by the rules, right? But how many think that there are people looking to buy homes, jumbo homes, and they just get quoted 6.5%? Do you think that might get them to call you? Well, Brian, how do you do that? Who's ever heard of a buy down? We can buy down any rate we want. But we don't need to tell the whole story in the message. See, Home Depot didn't tell the public that those rates suck. You shouldn't buy them, right? It's a lost leader, it's marketing. Is this helpful? Are you looking at real estate a little bit differently? That's not a great message. I just went to the Celtics game the other night. I saw this. I took a screenshot of it. Are you shitting me? Do you know what I paid for my tickets? Hayden and I went. Guess who we met? Who thinks I spent more than $89 for my ticket?
Add 2 zeros.
Now, let me tell you, what's the crazy? They have watch parties. You can watch the game from a restaurant for $89. I go on that app, I go, I don't want to watch the game for a restaurant. I want to have a magical moment with my son. So I just start scrolling at seat locations. And I bought 2 tickets with a couple of zeros on the end, 3 zeros on the end of them, because of that app. Is that bait and switch, or is that bait and give people what they want? Has anybody ever had a call from somebody looking for a 4-bedroom home, but they called you a 3-bedroom home? Hey, how many bedrooms is that? 3? Oh, we need 4. You don't say, sorry, I can't help you. Same thing, right? Now we just want to create a tableau box full of messages. So there's 3 types of media. There's expensive, inexpensive, and free.
I like free.
Free is good. If it's free, it's for me. This is inexpensive, so this is a paid ad. This is a client of mine in New Hampshire. This is a client of mine in Arizona. The ads are very similar. In recent times, when homes were selling so rapidly, in your market, did sellers wonder where they were going to go? So if your marketing message can solve a problem, it'll work even better. Now, the backstory of this is it's a financing program that's similar to a bridge loan. Who's ever heard of bridge loan financing? But if I put the rates suck, if I put, hey, call me for a bridge loan, nobody, I don't want to do that. Is this making sense? So I reword the copy of the ad so that they call and go, what is that? How do you do that? I'm glad you called. And I don't tell them it's a bridge loan over the phone. I need to get them in my store so I can sell them the $75 rates. They're going to get this. Step 1, get the lead. Step 2, get the appointment. Don't screw it up in step 2. Just get the appointment. I'll tell you all about it. We got lots of financing programs. I don't know which one's best for you. You can't get into it on the phone right now. I got to go to my next appointment. When can we get together? That's it. Get the appointment. So it's a 3-step process. Okay, business cards. Who has business cards? Do you have compelling offers on your business cards? This is a very expensive restaurant in New Hampshire for breakfast. Mother's Day, it's a 3-hour wait. Easter, huge wait. Parker's Maple Barn, if you've ever been to it, it's amazing. A coffee and an egg is $50. Now, here's why that's important. Who would like the clients that go there? If they're spending $50 for an egg and a coffee, they probably have a nice house, right? And what do realtors do? They throw their business cards on the bulletin board and hope and think they did something productive for them. There's 6 realtors on that board. So what if we changed our messaging to target your ideal client profile? Sell your Warwick area home without listing it for sale. This one's a good one. Does that give people a reason to call? Avoid being homeless. Close. Get your cash. Then move. Quick, easy, convenient. No appraisals, no inspections. Sold as is. Pay no commission. Holy shit, that's different. How many think Brian Moses is going to get the call, get the appointment, and walk out with a listing at a full commission? Because I'm going to show him that selling your house at no commission to an investor isn't a good idea. Right? Do you want to sell your, we can sell your house to an investor that I have, that'll give you $500,000 and pay no commission. I'll get the commission when the investor lists it with me. Or we can sell your house for $700,000 at a full commission, which is better for you. Do you guys follow me? This is easy peasy. Easy peasy. Sell your home without listing it for sale. It's another business card. Community events. How can you get your messaging in front of your community? Fairs, horse shows, carnivals. 4th of July is coming up. Inexpensive. But you need to have a good, compelling messaging. Direct mail. This is much more powerful than Brian did it again and just listed another one in the neighborhood. Does everybody see that? Thinking of selling, but your home needs repairs or upgrades? We have a company that will loan you the money to do the repairs and upgrades. Or we've aligned ourselves with contractors that will solve that problem. Are there people in Rhode Island that would like to sell their house, but they're overwhelmed? Shit's got to go in storage. Carpets need to be shampooed. Walls need to be painted. And they're like, oh, overwhelmed. What if you could facilitate solving that problem? This is a great seller lead magnet. Thinking of selling, so this is the same thing on social media versus direct mail. Signs. By appointment only. What? We're actually telling people not to call us. By appointment only. Of course it's by appointment only. What if we changed our messaging on our signs? Open every day, call for times. Hi, I'm in front of your house. What time can I see it? And then we use our call conversion script. Do you just want to see that house, or would you like to see all the other great deals in the area? No, I just want to see that house. Really? So what you're telling me, Mr. Buyer, is if there was a better deal that better matched your criteria, it wouldn't be okay to tell you about it? What do you got, Brian? What do you got? Well, I don't know. Well, I don't even know you. Why don't we get together, get your criteria, and I'll print out everything that matches your criteria. No more Pop-Tart realtor. Right? Buyer calls, can I see the house? 95% of the real estate population goes, okay. And I'll take it. And then the buyer doesn't buy the house, too big, too small. You guys know the drill. So let's rewrite the rules. Let's think differently. This market is starting to shift, but this was a great one. Name your asking price. Couldn't sellers pretty much name your asking price? They're talking to your competition, and the competition's going, $499. You think we could go $505? No. True or false? They're holding firm, trying to get that property priced. So they see this and they go, hey, we'd like to put our house in the fives. Do you think you'd take a look at it? I'd be happy to take a look at it. Now, this is a client of mine. He's a superstar. He sells a couple hundred homes a year. Look at it. 100 over asking price, 75 over asking price. But if you're new to the business, you can still do this. Because I'll show you how to do it. Don't think I can't do this. How many of you, be honest, as I'm showing you some of these examples, you go, I can't do this. Don't say can't. Don't ever say can't. What you'll do is you'll find closed transactions are public records. You can go into the MLS, find all the closed transactions in the neighborhood that you want to sell. Well, this one sold 40,000 over asking price. This one 30,000 over asking price. And you could list 20 homes that you didn't have any involvement in, and just change this from just sold by Thor and Sorensen to we thought you'd like to know about recent home sales in your area. Now their brain goes, wow, you superstar. You're owning the market. Okay, this is free. We used to do quarterly seminars. Today's world, you can do webinars. Home seller webinar. Join me on Thursday, April 15th to learn the most catastrophic mistakes home sellers make that cost them thousands of dollars in unnecessary expenses. inexpensive tips you can use to increase your home value, things that you might be thinking of doing that you don't have to or shouldn't do. What are all the associated expenses when you sell a Rhode Island home? There's no cost, no obligation. Register here, doesn't cost anything. You have 15, 20 families on a webinar or at a seminar. You do that 4 times a year. That one strategy was responsible for about 30 of my 400 deals. See, there's no one strategy that sold 400 homes a year. But there's lots of strategies that sell 30, 40, 50. And I just stack them on top of each other. Targeting. Are there buyers looking for oceanfront property in Rhode Island? You don't have to have the buyer. Just let the public know that there are buyers looking for oceanfront property in Rhode Island. And to call you if they have an oceanfront property. It's really simple. Brian Critch ran that ad. I get these texts all the time. Brian, you're a marketing genius. I set up the ads yesterday. 1 call, 1 listing appointment. I want you to think about this. When's the last, if I were to interview you and say, what's your one strategy that will get you a listing appointment tomorrow? A lot of us, this is our profession. We don't know what we're going to do to get a listing appointment tomorrow. So Ryan was really happy when he ran one ad and got a listing appointment tomorrow. You can do the same thing. Open houses, we do them. They're a great vehicle. I do them differently. Who believes that I do them differently? I don't want to sit at a house from 10 to 3. I used to when I was young and had no money because I'd go in the refrigerator when nobody was there. It's a story. But today, I'm going to do a 45-minute open house, a 1-hour open house. I want everybody to come at the same time. I want to create a traffic jam on the street. I want the neighbors to go, who died at the Johnson's house? Oh no, Moses is doing an open house. I want you to stand out. So this is our open house strategy. Home sold at the highest bidder, open for inspection. And this is a client, he had to tweak it. How many of you just got to tweak it? You got to make it your own. I told him 11 to 11:45. No, I want to do 2 hours. Why? You'll get the same results. Anybody ever been to a store and you pull the door and it's not open? And you look, oh, it opens at 9. And it's 8:55 and you can see the people in the store. 9. We open at 9. So you create the rules. Bandit signs, great strategy. Some of you thinking we can't use those here. Can't, bad word. Yes, you can. You can get permission. Where there's a will, there's a way. We used to do a tour of homes every weekend. This was a strategy that was good for 50 deals a year. There are buyers looking in Rhode Island for oceanfront homes. So why don't we find 6 properties you can show this weekend and let the world know that they're open? And you're the facilitator. We'd have 20, 30 people come on our tour of homes. They used to follow us like a funeral procession. We got little flags that the funeral cars had. They stick to the hood of the car with a magnet. We put signs on the lead car. People had to come at this precise time. The home was only open for 10 minutes. So the tour of homes is something that's unique and different. Then we reinvest our profits for compounded profits. A courier who drive all over southern New Hampshire picking up signs and lock boxes, radon canisters, water tests. So I leased a Volkswagen Bug for $200 a month and had it all lettered up with all kinds of offers. It wasn't about me. This direct mail letter, really, really good, but the market shifted. How many of you know that, like, it's almost like I created this and then, I mean, people have been doing it, but this is the magic sauce right here. There are buyers looking, they're well qualified, willing to make a strong offer, they're happy to buy it as is and can offer a flexible closing date. Lots of agents are doing that today, so you need to be unique and compelling. So even add the words, maybe even willing to let you stay 3 months after the close. Get your cash out first. Real estate results. When you do this, you'll be sending me text messages like this. You'll be thanking Dean and Chuck. wholly explicit, 3 calls from 1 development, all over $1 million. Already have 2 appointments, and the best part is I really have a buyer. How many of you are working with a well-qualified buyer like me? Can't find a house? Find the area that they want to be in and direct mail those people. 100 letters is $50 in postage. How many letters did you send? 20? So she spent $10 and generated $3 million in listing volume. Is that a good ROI? That's the other thing. You want to do everything based on return. This letter is one of our jackpot marketing pieces. All of my clients are using it. And as you can see, the messages come in. This guy goes another $485 off the twist letter. I go, I love these texts. Yep. Potential gross volume is $2 million since I started the campaign 90 days ago. So 90 days is 1 quarter. Take one strategy times 4. 2.2 times 4 is 8.8. How would you like one strategy to do $8 million in volume in the next 12 months? And then you know what you do? You go to every one of your kids' practices and football games. Hey, have I ever missed a game? No. We travel the world in karate, or the US, every weekend on a plane on a Thursday, go to a city, compete for martial arts, fly home. I was selling real estate back in those days. Not worried about where my next deal was coming from, folks. How many of you want freedom? How many of you got into this business for freedom? But what you didn't get was freedom? You got slavery, right? You're working around the clock. Here's another one, just picked up another 1.3 million listing in Acton. So here's what I want to summarize. The right message with the right media produces highly motivated leads. Highly motivated leads turn into great appointments. And that's why today I'm able to do a couple of calls like Chuck, because we have skills, and charge $2,000 to $5,000 a month for 2 phone calls a month. Agents pay me $24,000 a year to $60,000 a year to help them accelerate their income and profit. I don't do one-on-one coaching anymore. I'm going to every one of my son's SEC games. The first game, University of Hawaii. Wow. Watching him run through the tunnel. It's going to be pretty special. But I did put together a special offer for you because we need tools and I need skills. So I put together an invitation to join my Inner Circle program. Inner Circle program has been around for the last 5 years. We have hundreds of agents all over North America, so you get to hang around with like-minded individuals who want to grow their business. It's the best real estate curriculum in the industry. There's training modules, there's examples, you'll have access to the most comprehensive resource library in the industry. With the right messages, with examples, with training videos that show you how to do it. And if you go through the course, you can't screw it up. We do 2 live calls a month with me, video impact calls. On Wednesdays, 2nd and 4th Wednesday of each month, we do a marketing review call, and we do an impact call. And we review my best members' marketing. They're still developing their skill. They screw it up, like change the hours of the open house, and they still generate lots of business. So we dial it in and we tweak it and we iterate on it. We make those adjustments, and you get to be a fly on the wall. Or if you're brave enough to send me your marketing, we'll review your marketing. I'm going to think that would be valuable to have Brian review your marketing. We have a Facebook group. You get access to myself and my staff for questions. So we normally charge $500 online for this, $6,000 a year. How many deals do you need to have it pay for itself? If I can't help you and working with you a year, get many, many multiples of return, you can come to New Hampshire and put a shotgun in my face. That's my guarantee. Maybe we probably appreciate it if you didn't pull the trigger, but we're committed to your success. So that's a pretty good deal. But Dean said, Brian, I'm going to fill this room up for you. You're going to get a bunch of people who want to do this. And I know you don't normally give discount rates, so I'm not looking at it as a discount. I'm looking at it as an incentive. We're going to subsidize this program so that you can take the difference in the discount to invest in some of this marketing. Because you got to spend a little bit of money. Direct mail, Facebook ads. So Dean wrangled me in and he said, come on, Brian. And he got me to cut the price in half. So for $247 a month, you get to work with me, my team, have access to the best library, best examples, 2 calls, you can ask questions. And it's $247 a month. It's less than $3,000 a year. It's a pretty good deal. You can cancel it at any time. There's no contracts. How many of you have ever bought into a program and you got to sign a contract? Do you know why? I believe they don't believe in their contract, in their product. So I'm going to pass these out. Those of you that would like to join our program, you take one, pass them back. Fill them out. We'll get you enrolled. Thanks, Chuck. We'll get you enrolled. There's no pressure, no rush to the back of the room. I only have lots to do. But if you want to do this, too. And if you don't. No hard feelings. And we'll help you. We'll be with you. We're throwing a bunch of bonuses, so a bunch of recordings. I'll give you the last 3 years of recordings. Leads on demand Facebook training. Facebook's changing all the time. And the ultimate real estate sales blueprint, my listing presentation, my buyer presentation. Everything is purposeful and intentional. So we'll throw all that in. You get everything for just $247 a month. No setup fees, just fill out a form. Let me conclude with this, and then I want to bring Chuck and Dean up, and we'll do a little Q&A, and then we'll play hard. Okay, how many of you are going to sit down and play hard with us? Work hard to play hard. If you take a look at this, you know what this is. So, where would you start? Number 1, right? So you start at number 1, then you go to number 2, number 3, number 4, and when you get all the way to 148, it looks like Batman. But what if you started at number 1, and went to 134, and then you went to 108, and then you went to 77? It's going to be a jumbled mess. Who in real estate is giving you a blueprint with instructions of what to do first, second, third, and fourth? Here's your opportunity today. Join today, save 50%. So there's the Facebook page. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, as Albert Einstein said. So I appreciate you guys for coming today. Dean and Chuck, will come on up.
Right on chair.
Q&A, do we have a mic runner?
Mike's not working.
It's all good. I'll frame a couple of things that you guys were always taking notes of. Right. So here's a couple of awarenesses, just as a review, not to be a dead horse. Who knows Dan Lees, Westerly? Right. Like Brian, I've known Dan for 30 years. One of my favorite moments in real estate was a RE/MAX convention. It was an awards banquet in Boston, and Dan came up on stage. Now, Kim said earlier, because we had a photographer, my God, my cheeks are like hurting from smiling. Now, I think they hired me at RE/MAX because I look in black, like my mother said. But one of my roles was to stand up on stage and hand really good realtors awards at RE/MAX. But Dan came up, and we had photographers, and he's holding his platinum club plaque, right? 250 grand in commissioning from them. And I said, hey, Dan, Westerly, 250, that's a lot of hard work. Congratulations. He said, yeah, I'm not as proud of the plaque of what's on the front in comparison to what's on the back. I said, well, Now, we're in front of 1,500 Remax agents in Boston, and the next person is expecting their award. And you can't pause, but I did, and I said, what are you talking about? He said, don't you see it, Chuck? It's printed right here, right on the back of the plaque. I'm like, it's wood. Right? I said, Dan, what are you talking about? He said, it says right here. And it's what Brian said. Because what we're talking about here is a balanced life between your profession and your personal life and your family. Notice how quickly Hayden said, when Brian asked, have I made every single game? But his answer, well, there was no explanation. Yeah. And Dan said, Chuck, it says right here. Dan made every single soccer game. Dan made every single baseball game. Dan took his wife out for a date Friday night. And he went down the list. And I'm standing there crying. That's what this is about, because this is about you. This is not about Brian or me. Because see, we have different roles, and Brian said it in regards to coaching. My clients pay $2,000 a month. Why? Because my average client averages 300 transactions per year. So I'll tell you about Kevin Willis from South Carolina. Last 12 months, 256 transactions. I said, Kevin, what's your team built like? Team? No, it's just me. I said, you did 256 alone? He goes, well, I do have a transaction coordinator. I do have an administrator. I do have a assignment. I've got a photographer, but there's support people. It's just me. What does he have? Systems. And that's what we teach. Systems and structure. What Brian was talking about is skill set development. What's Dean's responsibility as a broker, or for those brokers in the room? What are their responsibilities? Because guess what? With all due respect to Keller Williams, because I've been in those pockets, it's been awesome. It's been amazing. I have the greatest respect for Gary, but they teach skill set. Right? Skill is important. That's how I got out of this stuff. I graduated from Zola. I used to work, how many people who are of age, because it's now an Audi. How many people have eaten at the Golden Lantern restaurant? I worked there from the time I was 14 years old. I waited on Frank Sinatra. Sammy Davis Jr. I just had a great childhood because like Mitzi Gaynor sitting there. Oh, I look like Frank Sinatra. So my point, I thought I was going to spend my entire life as a waiter at the Golden Lantern. That's what my mentality was. Graduated from Tollgate. So how do you go from Tollgate to CEO of Remax, HomeSmart? Still. Was I motivated? Yeah. DeWolf New England, independent company in Boston. Fix, bought his mother's, brokerage. Grew it to 2,400 agents. After 7 years in sales, I wanted to get into management. And Patsy Jones was the HR director, and they had a management training program. And part of it was an interesting process where they did a disc analysis, all that kind of stuff. But Patsy said to me one time, what's your 5-year plan? I said, what's your 5-year goal? I said, I want Dick's job. Meaning I wanted to run a company. Like many great people run companies, salary fees, different people. You know what she did? She laughed and said, you can't do this. You better start buying stock or something, because we were publicly traded at the time. I really honestly, I grew up at 300 Diamond Road. I never thought I'd make it out of the city. But I've had a pretty good track. Why? Because I've had great friends like families. You know, since he was at Monticelli's office. Ron, handing him awards, same way we do. So what's the point today? Now, I sat there at 22 years of age. I know you're not 22. But my point is that you can do anything you want, no matter whether you're 60 or 80. That's what Brian's initial part of his message was. So we have different roles. What's Dean's role as a broker? So we get confused sometimes because brokers just say, oh, we got to provide education and information. No, his role as a broker, I tell him he's my client, compliance. Make sure what you're doing is right. Compliance. Also, get you your checks. That's what a brokerage is. He's not the be all and the end all, although I love him to the depths of my heart because he cares about every single one of you. And I don't mean everyone at home smart, I mean 7,200 agents in the state, and quite frankly, Connecticut, and Southern, Massachusetts. Because he's been president, he's put in stuff, as do you. So I didn't complete what are the ways that real estate agents fail. Get up. Want to know number one? Because Albert had number 3. Number one, you overthink things. Don't overthink it. This is a simple business. This is a one-on-one business. Get touching people who have the ability to buy, sell, and let's treat them with kindness and principles and values, because that's what a company creates. It's culture, as you should have as well. So why do other real estate agents fail? They don't focus on their skills. Lack of support. And we all think in the real estate broker, oh, it's a broker. That's why most of your peers shift from one to the other, because they keep looking and see. Good Lord. No. Do you notice what Brian said? It doesn't matter what your brand is. It does matter. I don't want to diminish your leadership, your company, or anything else, but it is true. What matters is service and your communication with the buyer to engage them, open their mind, just like hopefully Dean and Brian have done today. So just approach it with open mind. I mention these things because that's what creates a Q&A, to say, please tell me more about whatever is most important to you, because we're all at different stages. All at different stages. And quite frankly, Hayden at one point in time, because the one thing that Brian and I have in common is we have a lot of things. But my eldest son's name as well is Hayden. And so we have an affinity, but we also have an affinity in the real estate industry because we've devoted our lives to it. Because that's why I got into this business, and that's why my mother wanted me to be a priest. Why? Because those 3 things, regardless, it's helping people, and that's what you do. So you can serve people. So when you take a look at your career, look at it today, because quite frankly, 20 years from now, Hayden's going to look back in memories just like my father did, because my dad was, as Brian mentioned, a son of an immigrant. I only spoke French to my grandmother. They immigrated from Canada. I never knew my grandfather. He was one of 10. My father lived on the 3rd floor as a young boy in a tenement, slept in the same bed with 2 of his brothers with no heat. They were on welfare. They had nothing. Of the 10, only 2 of them went to college. My dad went to the College of the Holy Cross in Worcester, Massachusetts. Why? Football scholarship. He was drafted by the Green Bay Packers in 1954. If he had gone, which he didn't, he would have played under Vince Lombardi. Kind of a cool guy. Those of you who like that sport. But he didn't. He went back to BU. He got his education degree, his master's, and he was the director of special services here for the city of Warwick school system. His role and responsibility was to help underprivileged children, handicapped, learning disabilities for 30 years. At his retirement party at the Crown Plaza, there were 700 people. There were people that called our house telling that stuff right now. Guess what? We're not going to retire.
You don't retire from real estate.
However, you can have a career that is rich with being involved in the most important thing that people do in their lives, which is fun. That's what we do. That's who we are. That's how we live. So that's it. What questions do you have about your career? Because much like Kevin Mills in South Carolina, 254 transactions, 242 of them were on the list side. He does not deal with buyers. He gives all of his buyers to whom? Other people in his office, and collects a 20% referral fee. He made $84,000 simply by referring buyers to other people in his office. He does have team members, but this boy is on the phone 4-5 hours a day. He specifically works on the list side. He is 29 years old. He has only been in the real estate industry 4:30 to 6 months. Now, we coach different types of teams. Russell Rose, with all great respect, and Keller Williams, we love Keller Williams, but he has a team that does 2,100 transactions per year. How many transactions did we do in the last 12 months? Yeah, or you?
In the state?
No, here, you, this
Oh,
brokerage.
sorry, okay, I didn't understand the
That's
question.
okay.
1,800.
I'm big. So Russell Rose is a team in Dallas, Texas, did more transactions than your brokerage.
I'll get back to work.
Now, is that good or bad? We have our call coming.
I got an answer right.
So see how, see how, because your responsibility is to create an environment rich in culture to provide support for people with tools, technologies, and association, for them to have a balance there, to be able to grow personally, professionally. That's what you do, is you help people with the specific elements that create results, so we can work actually less, because we're all given 1,440 minutes in every single day. What we do with them is important. Quite frankly, we waste more, right? Watching Netflix or listening to Instagram or posting selfies. It's a good picture. I really should have stood up a little bit more. I wish you would use Shiny Fox. Next time use Shiny Fox. It's a really good. How many people know what Shiny Fox is?
My filter on
Please.
Instagram.
Oh, God. Instagram. Anyway, what questions do you have of us
Anybody have any questions?
on your systems, on specific things that Brian covered, or how do I do more business in less?
They've mastered it.
Yeah, so a question I have is if I decide to do this, what does my first week look like?
Yeah, go through the resource library,
Okay,
print everything out.
okay.
Punch it through, and we have a video that walks you through it. What's your first name?
Deborah,
So it won't say Deborah, but it'll be like, hey, welcome to the family. I'm really excited to work with you. And it'll say, this is what you did first. Go to this resource library, click this link. Print out all the scripts. We've got buyer mastery, seller mastery. Put them in a 3-ring binder. This is your manual for selling real estate. Review everything, watch the videos that are applicable to your goals, and then put our calls in your calendar so you don't miss them, right? They're recorded so you can watch them if something happens, but you want it. Success is all about consistency. I'll use my son as an example. How many of you think he's thrown a football in the last week?
Yep.
How many think he's lifted some weights or done some running in the last week? And it's every, right? So you set your goals, you work out a business plan backwards, we help you do that. What are your metrics? What are your dials? And, an airplane has dials, tells you how high you're off the ground, how fast you're going. What are your dials? What are your metrics? Well, if you want to make this much in GCI, you need this many sales based on an average sales price. Those are called lagging indicators. Once you have your lagging indicators, you don't need to worry about them anymore. But you do need to worry and focus on your leading indicators, which is how many clients do you need to have that many sales? How many appointments do you need to have that many clients? And how many new opportunities do you need to create based on your conversions to have those numbers? I never worried about sales once I knew what the number was. I worried about clients, appointments, and new opportunities. For some of you, for some of you, weeks have gone by and you haven't generated a new lead. Maybe you got a referral, maybe a friend, a family, a relative called you and said, we're thinking about retiring and downsizing. That's not a strategy. We will put an end to that, okay? You will make many, many multiples of return from being a product of your environment. Hayden's coaches are the best in the world. He has a quarterback IQ coach in Atlanta, but he gets on Zoom to control what he can control. He can't control his height, but he can control his brain. He can control how fast he reads the defense. When we were at Vanderbilt, I was blown away with the conversation that he had with the offensive coordinator coach in his office, asking Hayden questions, looking at game film of Florida Gators in Alabama. And he said, Hayden, who do you throw the ball to? And he said, sir, you throw it to this guy, that's the first option, first read, that's my first read. He has those skills because he's worked on them. And then the coach said, do you throw it over or under? And I looked at my lads like, please, baby Jesus, get it right. And Hayden goes, that's elementary, Dad. That's like kindergarten. And I don't understand that level of football. But because he's had coaching, do we get a few minutes before we go to the party? I'm gonna show you something that will knock your socks off and really sum up. We didn't really have the time, but the best in the world have coaches. So if you look at this, having an outstanding life is simple. It's just not obvious. I'm gonna demonstrate it for you. Think about what your goals are. When I die, I don't want to be memorialized as the guy who's the number 2 agent in the world for Carlos Beck. Who follows me? I want to be known as the guy who didn't miss my kids' practice, who adopted a boy from China, who believed in Hayden when sometimes the noise told him, don't believe in yourself. That's how I want to be remembered. But you got to think about what is your goals. I want to have balance. I want to have freedom. So I'm going to give you an exercise. And it's really simple. It'll only take 2 minutes, Dean, Chuck. Take a look and solve for the question mark. So Dean and Chuck, you might want to do this too. See if you can figure out what the value is for that question mark. I'll give you 2 minutes. No talking, no cheating, no looking at your neighbor. If you've seen this before, okay. When you have a number, raise your hand, please. So, see how quick people can come up with a number? Awesome. Hayden's got a number. He's a smart kid. He's going to Vanderbilt.
What are those items? I don't understand what those are.
They're just images.
So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. what
Okay,
they are.
okay.
It doesn't matter. what
That's
they are.
about,
Yes.
no differently than.
Okay.
A house has.
Okay.
a house
Okay, how many of you have a number?
24.
Okay. Who's got 19? Wrong. 16. Okay, you have, who has a number on here? I'm sorry, you're all wrong.
No.
You're wrong. These numbers are incorrect, they're all incorrect. And my bet is, I would bet a large sum of money that if you haven't seen this before, none of you have the right number.
I have a number.
14.
I don't.
Okay, let me see if you come up with the same number with a little bit of coaching. Can I give you some coach stuff? See, a coach can tell Hayden what the coverages are and who to key in on and what to look for, right? Because they have experiences that you don't have. So I have experiences in this example that you don't have. So we're going to do this again with some coaching. Before you start the math, here's what I want you to note. The images, although they appear the same, are not all the same. But isn't it true that we are conditioned to react so fast in life and we make judgments and assumptions? Is that possibly happening in your real estate business? So let's take a look at this again. Before you start the math, notice that all the images are not the same. So who knew that the value of the sneakers were 10?
Yes.
Okay, that was a trick. It was very easy and our brain starts to get into a pattern. And then the guy's right, a pair of sneakers, 10 plus 10 plus 10 equals 30. So if a pair of sneakers is 10, this guy's 5, that equals 20. That was another trick. This is also a trick.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets gnarly. Only one shoe, which is not 10, that's 5. This guy has the wristbands on his wrist and he's wearing sneakers where up here he was not. So is that helpful to see? How many of you could come up with the right number? And then lastly, everything was plus, but the last one is multiplication. That's the value of having.
So what's the
Any
answer?
questions for Brian? Well, yeah, what's the answer?
It's
irrelevant.
Yeah.
But just just like a good coach, they'll walk you through the process, but they actually won't do it.
That's right. And ask you how you feel about it. Any questions for Brian while we have him cast it? Bob? Brian.
Curious as to, like, how would the coaching work with like brand new agents? Like less than 6 months agents that don't have the skills and, you know.
I'll answer for him, it's essential.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what point you're at in your career, it's essential. Have a coach that teaches you stuff.
It's not
Because
over
You're
yet.
already improving. Here's an answer, Tom Brady, you know, with all due respect, because you're more like Doug Flutie. How tall was Doug Flutie?
5'9" and 3/4,
Fran Tarkenton.
6 feet.
He doesn't know who Fran Tarkenton is. Here is this always, because what's Tom Brady practicing today versus 20 years ago? Same stuff. It's all blocking and tackling. That's what Vince Lombardi said. Real estate is the same stuff. Here's why people try to sell you new stuff. Because they're trying to sell you new stuff. No, this is about, it's a context. It's one-on-one, learning your script. That's what Brian does. Every single one of you should sign. Absolutely.
Let me add this. There's no contracts. You can cancel at any time.
Yeah.
Who's willing to invest $250 with me for a month? That's
And Brian,
it.
I'll
There's
tell you
no
what,
risk.
it's like, I had a client
There's
this
no
month
risk.
that said, oh, Chuck, I'm having a tough time. I have to stop coaching. You know what my answer was? No. No, I said, don't pay me if you don't want to. Or I'm not going anymore.
And keep everything you've printed out, right? Be the devil's advocate. If this isn't the greatest investment you've made, I don't want your money. $250 isn't gonna change my life. I want your text messages and your emails and go, holy shit.
So, Brian, I need to add, ultimately, what I appreciate in this is, we all agree that there's great content here that we can get out just by being here today.
Absolutely.
And to be able to extend that with no commitment, no long-term commitment is amazing. Not everybody's interested in investing into their education, coaching, and their careers, or are intimidated to do so. But I appreciate you sharing the content, not just the concept. Can we all agree with that?
Yeah.
Everybody's got content here. I think the challenge is who's gonna use it. So I want to say thank you. I appreciate you letting me beat you up for the cost and being able to share it with everyone. But more importantly than that, to me, was bringing content, valuable content that you can leave and use today. The question is, who's going to try something? I think everyone, to your point, should try signing up, taking advantage of. There's no try, sorry, that's what he's reacting to. I can't say the word
Brian's word
try.
is can't.
You
He
saw
said
that, right?
one
So-
word like my
So
word.
everyone should consider this and do this, Yoda, right? So, but at the end of the day, everyone needs to implement at least one thing you've heard today, and I challenge each and every one of you to do that. Okay, because I would love to see those things. Okay, that would be incredible, and I'll forward them to you, Brian.
Thanks.
So, but I appreciate you sharing, I appreciate all the
And when
time. Are there
Dean says
any
that-
questions? We're very sorry.
No, go ahead.
Nope, we're very mindful of people's time, right? Obviously, we have wine, we have food, we have time. Let's enjoy each other's company,
Questions
right?
before we go.
I want to make sure we ask questions, but before everybody gets up, there are a few things, but you can see I'm wrapping it up for you, so.
Ask
So
the-
TJ,
ask
bear
the-
with me.
ask the question.
I'm on to you. Any last questions for Brian before I go into just one last topic? Any questions? You trained them all well. Brian, thank you for sharing. Everybody get Brian? Attention just a little bit longer because I want to say thank you again. Everyone, give me 1 second, please. Okay, I want to say, no worries. I want to say thank you again to our sponsors. Mr. Lapointe is in the room. Everybody. Jared Bolseno again, Main Street Home Loans. Main Street Home Loans. Doug McEwen is over here with the squad, and I don't see Adam here, but Adam again, Telemonaco.